January 24th, 2024. Live streaming from a distant galaxy. This is the world's most controversial podcast, the Doomsy McDoomscroller Show, a philosophical science fiction series featuring realistic futurology and refreshingly heretical commentary on the news. And the news story I've got up right now on the screen, if you're watching this, you can see it. If you aren't, no worries, Doomsy's going to read it. All right, this is a podcast. This is meant to be an audio production here. So we're looking at something from Vice or Newsweek. It's about the same thing that's going on in Kentucky. The headline is, Republicans push to legalize property owners killing homeless people in Kentucky. That's the headline from Vice. Headline from Newsweek. Republicans aim to legalize force against homeless trespassers. It looks like this article's from just the other day. 1 or 2 days ago. So we got this now. Now, if you're new to the show, you're going to realize now why it's controversial. Because Doomsy don't sugarcoat. You can say Republicans, but you know, that's you all. That's all of you. You're doing this. East and West, all the billions together add up to 8 now. On your way to 9 billion. Because you keep increasing the production of food surpluses. So all y'alls, I'm talking, you're doing, I mean, you can say Republicans, this and that, but come on, this was not a problem. Homelessness was not a problem until you got there. That's right. Doomsy says you because I'm not part of civilized culture anymore. In fact, I'm not even sure I'm in the right universe. Definitely not the Milky Way galaxy. Physics here are kind of strange. So I'm just gonna lump you all in together because it seems right. It fits. Now, you can blame Republicans, sure. But there were people living in Kentucky long before Holy War agriculturalists got to that continent. In fact, there are people living in the place you call Kentucky. There are people living there for thousands upon thousands of years. Homelessness is never a social illness or societal ill, I should say, I guess. It just wasn't. And they never had to argue about how should we write a law to deal with some undesirable behavior. But now, just legalize force. Maybe even deadly force. because that's how you deal with things, right? Oh, you also throw people into cages. There's this article from, where's this from? No, from several days ago, the 19th, on Ars Technica. British post office scandal. Here's the headline. Fujitsu bugs that sent innocent people to prison were known, quote, from the start. Software bugs were hidden from lawyers of wrongly convicted UK postal workers. So, you people, you toss each other in cages over postage. You are the throw people into cages culture. That's civilized culture. And you're the culture of homelessness. Really. Wasn't a problem in North America until you farmers got there. Farmers, that's a little misleading. Because you equate the word farm with agriculture, and they are not one and the same. They are not one and the same. They just aren't. Farming is a very specific kind of agriculture, a very specific style, I guess you could say, a very specific way to regenerate your favorite calories. Farming is holy war agriculture. And in North America, a place called Kentucky or even California, any state, homelessness was not a problem. It was not a problem. For a dozen thousand years. The whole time people were there. Well, until the warmongers got there. Until you pyramid building, pharaoh fostering, warmongering, invaders, I guess we should say, yeah. So toss people into cages for postage, because that's how you deal with things. So, legalized force against the homeless. That's civilized living there. That's a very civilized thing to do. It really is. The homeless people, they are not getting with the program, right? They're not running with the stampede. They can't run very well, don't want to run, for whatever reason. They're getting dragged, a little bit trampled, but they aren't running. Right? They aren't dragging stones. They aren't building pyramids, fostering the same neo-pharaohs that all the rest of you are fostering. And so they deserve hatred according to civilized culture. Right? That's the populism, that's the nationalism, that's all the fear that y'all generate in civilized culture. You make that happen. Like, Doomsy saw an interview with what's that D-bag for Trump? Bannon. Steve Bannon. He thinks he's clever. He fancies himself an economist. All he's doing is just relishing, promoting the hatred of other poor people. Poor folks hating poor folks. Because you don't dare to have any ire for those above. How dare you? Those pharaohs, they worked so hard to get where they are. And now you're just working hard to be like legit middle class, right? And then there's all these other slackers, these other peasants and commoners. They aren't getting with the program. You're struggling. Your life is full of stress. Why? Well, not because of the nobility and the royal class above, the weight of that above, not the pharaohs compelling you to drag stones. No. Get angry at the other poor folk. I mean, kind of hard to hate the rich folk when you want to be the rich folk. And what people want, everybody just wants more security in their life. And civilized culture is the culture that offers the least amount of security to anybody. The only way you can get security is to accumulate stuff, to accumulate products that you can trade for food. Now look at this headline about the homeless. It's got this word trespassers in it. Homeless trespassers. Because Earth is under ownership. It's under ownership. All the land is owned. All the food is owned. And what, you have these people? They're not dragging stones? They don't have any ownership of it. They aren't living the way humans are meant to live, according to civilized culture. That's your mythology. So you could blame this on Republicans, but oh, really? How recent was the genocide and slavery there in Kentucky? The stampede that made its way across North America westward. This other headline here. Former Pentagon UFO investigator is pissed because Congress believes in conspiracy theories. Yeah. Congress. They aren't leaders. Nobody there is a leader. People who ride on top of furniture, being carried by people who are on the shoulders of people running in a stampede. They're not leaders. That's not a leadership position. It's just not. They might have power. They could wield influence. But they aren't doing any leading. What are they leading? Well, what are any of these people leading right now? They believe in aliens. Now, look, I know Doomsy's talking to you from another galaxy. Sure, yeah, life is all over the multiverse. But in that backwater little corner of the Milky Way, way out there on the edge of, well, look. Here's why these conspiracy theories are so popular. It's because your culture sucks. It sucks so bad that people want explanations for why the world is so effed up. And they come up with all kinds of effed up explanations and stories to explain your violence, the oppression, the subjugation, subjugation of Earth, subjugation of women. Civilized culture is a culture of maximum subjugation. And you need stories and explanations to deal with this stuff. You know, you come up with these bizarre stories and things like chopping off body parts, stories about murdering and a killing. And stories about scapegoating. Right? Life sucks so much in civilized culture that you got to come up with a scapegoating kind of scheme to make you feel better about it. I mean, it's wickedness, really. I mean, scapegoating is wrong. You should take accountability for what you do wrong. For your wrongdoings, you're to blame. For stuff I do wrong, I'm to blame. I'm not going to pass that on to anybody else. I don't care if he was a Jewish carpenter. Scapegoating is wrong. It's unethical. Yet a billion of you, billions of you have bought into it. You need explanations because the world's so effed up. So you got aliens, you got baby-eating Satan worshippers, the QAnon stuff, all that. People just reaching, desperate for something to explain the depravity that is civilized culture. Here's a headline. This is from a couple days ago in Bloomberg. The world's largest cruise ship is a climate liability. No. Your culture is a climate liability. Civilized culture. Because civilized culture, it doesn't give a shit about anything, about anybody. Everything is a resource to be consumed by y'all. And not just the rich, not just the pharaohs. The neo-pharaohs, they're consuming and using excess energy, and they have excess pollution and all this, but that's all because of you. How do they get to the top of these pyramids? They have to be lifted up there. And that's what y'all do in every society and civilized culture. You systematically filter through the population to find the most greedy, the most ruthless, the most power-hungry people among you, and you reward them. You elevate them. You push them, get them to the top. You reward ruthlessness. Cruise ship is a climate liability. Civilized culture is the climate liability. This headline is total bullshit. Oh, so okay, let's just eliminate things like these big cruise ships, and maybe big jumbo jets too. Oh, okay, let's go so far as to stop big oil. We'll stop big oil, right? So what's that gonna do? What's that gonna do for penguins? For polar bears? For Gen Alpha, for Gen Beta? What could it possibly do if you just, you eliminate those things, but you just keep on going with your warmongering ways? Don't you see it? Everywhere you look. Y'all are doing stuff that screams, I don't give a F about other Earthlings. In all your daily activities, everything you do. And everything you do, you're doing it because of the worldview of ignoramuses that lived about 12,000 years ago. Your entire lifestyle and all the stress and all the struggles, all the activity, your worldview comes from the worldview of the progenitors of civilized culture. And so, of course, everything is just a resource for y'all to use, just for you, because you're humans. You're the godlike creatures, right? You're in the image of gods. The cruise ship is a climate liability. Right? That's because you can't blame civilization. I said this C word. When you say civilized culture as one word, it becomes really powerful then, right? Because then you got the one word you can match with the other one word, humanity, and you can make that equation. False equivalency. You can't blame civilized culture because the mythology of your culture compels you to believe that your culture defines the species, that it's in your DNA, that you're just living the way humans are meant to live, the only way that humans could, should, would live, assuming their rightful place as gods in the universe, or as imaged gods, right? So you aren't going to blame civilized culture, because that would be like blaming humanity. Humans aren't at fault. And they really aren't. You really aren't. I mean, that's inaccurate to say. If humans, to think that humans are at fault, then where are you gonna go from there? There's nothing you can do. Climate liability, a ship. Everything you're doing is a climate But hey, this, at least I don't know. At least it's making headlines. Maybe there's some hope for Gen Alpha, for Gen Beta, for Gen Beta's kids. But the homelessness thing, I feel sorry for y'all. Making it a crime not to have a mortgage or a landlord, or you have to live in a certain domicile. You have to pay a certain amount of bills. 17,000 years. 17,000 years on that continent where Kentucky is. You didn't have people writing laws to deal with homeless people. Homeless people. They didn't have that. And they didn't have cages to throw people in for being falsely accused of stealing postage or whatever reason, for being homeless. Toss you in a cage. Yeah, so you got questions, comments, complaints, www.doomsymcdoomscroller.com.